Shalom to you. This is Highlighter. I greet you in the name of Yahshua, our Messiah. This is the second video giving the testimony. I want to share a verse from scriptures. Many times they have afflicted me from my youth, yet they have not prevailed against me. Psalms 129 verse 2. I'm not sure about the verse, but that's my note. I noticed that when I was reading the testimonies of Apostle Paul, and I gave a list of some things that I can relate to with the testimonies that Yahweh has given. One of the main points is, the first part was to show that I was born broken for Yahweh's purpose. That later, it seemed as there was no hope. That's where the Spider-Man story comes in. These things will build up your understanding as Yahweh reveals it. And the main point of the testimonies, is for Albuquerque. And so in the first video, I mentioned I was leaving Albuquerque and flying in back to Oklahoma. And I was very zealous, very excited, but that excitement got me into trouble. And so now the story picks up where there's so many things to share. The best way is to write things out. What's important at this point is I left my father and all the opportunities that was there to go and leave to Oklahoma City. I was going to Rhema in Broken Arrow. I had lifted my hands up. I was praising our Maker like everybody else. And I didn't know what I was doing, but that's part of my childhood. This at the same time that I was into Buddhism, the books, Zen, and martial arts as a child. And so I left these things, and in my testimonies in the future I will share that in the spiritual layer many people are leaving our Father because they love other things more. And this is what we're supposed to guard. But Yahweh gets all the credit. I've seen His sovereignty. And this is what I praise, and I worship His power, and I worship my Maker. So I left Broken Arrow, and now I'm in Oklahoma City, but this time I'm on the streets of Oklahoma City. I'm homeless, and at age 15, I'm being handed a crack pipe, even though it didn't get me high, but still, that's the things around me. One of the kids that was in juvenile institution with me, he was a Native American. He had very long hair, but I see him on the streets, and now his hair has been cut short, and he's shooting drugs, and he's in a shooting gallery. I went into the shooting gallery and took a look and see what he was up to, what his lifestyle was. I didn't take part of that, and I praise my Maker that I did not, but still, I smoked crack at the age 15, and later, I'm still on the streets. And it's just, I share a lifestyle that many people have shared, many people much worse. And, but I still had the ninja stuff in me. I wanted to climb still. I wanted to get the ninja skills, and so I did. Even though I moved away from Broken Arrow, where my chance to go to the Air Force was. So I got locked up. and for burglary. Then I get out, and I get locked up again. This time I was in somebody's backyard. Me and a friend was training backyard martial arts, but the house was empty. So I get locked up for something I didn't do. I was charged for burglary, and it was not. That should have been trespassing. But there's a drug deal going on in the area. So I believe they locked me up thinking I was part of that. When I got my parole certificate, the parole says to go to this city, but my bus ticket says to go to that city. I was set up for failure. That's the way life is. So eventually I end up doing, I don't know how many years, 12 years incarcerated, 4 times, out of 4 times. Juvenile institutions like many people. And during that time, I was practicing Buddhism. I took on vows of nonviolence, and the Bujinkan that I studied as a child, the ninja art that's called Bujinkan, they had symbols and things from Buddhism, what they call mudra. The mudra is hand symbols you see in the movies. And in Bujinkan there are 9, which 9, the number points to the triple deity and Lucifer. But regardless of the number, they had meditation techniques that I was interested in learning, and eventually it led me to Tibetan Buddhism. And I took the vows of nonviolence, and I decided not to pursue the arts, martial arts with the Bujinkan, but I decided that it's much more valuable to pursue the spiritual path. But that was Yahweh's making. And so I was a seeker at a young age, even though I got baptized as a child. So now I'm incarcerated, and my circle is people that practice meditation. While I'm teaching meditation to one of my friends in prison, he practiced Satanism, and he wanted me to teach him meditation, so that would help him do his rituals. And he says there's a name of a female goddess that you're not supposed to say the name of it. And he said the name of it as we're talking, and I heard in my ear the word B-I-T-C-H in my ear. It was a spirit. I felt the force, and it spoke in my ear. But the lights were out, and it's just me and him sitting there talking. And so I experienced a few supernatural things as a child. There's a time I'm reading the Egyptian Book of the Dead, reading about the Egyptian gods at a very early age. And then later as a Tibetan, I run into the Tibetan Book of the Dead, but that was not the main practice. My main practice was Tumo, which is inner fire yoga. It's one of the 6 yogas of Naropa. It's inner alchemy. The ideal is to transform your inner elements, to manipulate and transform them, and to use that opportunity to catapult you quickly into enlightenment. And who would not want that? It's very attractive. But Yahweh has given me answers through the testimony, because what I'm seeing in my past testimony of Tibetan Buddhism, it's in the churches. So when I get out of prison, I have a Bible, and this is in Texas. I go to a trailer, and this trailer is your last stop before you actually see the free world. There's Christian people there. There's people that counsel you and talk to you, because it's the last help that you're going to get, even though they gave me the wrong bus pass or bus ticket. So they gave me a Bible. Well, I had a Bible, and I threw it in the trash. And I'm not proud of none of that, but I praise my Maker that I did those things, and I can see and look back. And so now I'm out in the free world. This is in 1997, and I'm really grateful I was actually able to pray to my mother. I had a very short time with her. And just within just a few days of being out of prison, I ended up having in my hands a Tibetan Buddhist statue about this big, and the value is at least $1,000. It was a statue was made out of bronze, and it was the Chenrezig, the Bodhisattva of compassion, in one of the forms. It didn't have the 1,000 arms, but it was still the Buddha statue, and somebody gave it to me freely because the world will receive its own. I had not been transformed yet into what our Creator wanted me to be changed into. Even though I was baptized, I did not have no knowledge of sin and how to repent. I was just a child. So I still had the spirit of the world in me. And that's why that man gave me that statue, the Tibetan Buddha statue. The world will receive its own. And so now I ended up getting married that same year. And then right down the street from my mother's house where I'm living at, I ended up doing crack again. It came to me. So I got this problem now. And so here is where the deliverance begins. I wanted to go and see my family in Broken Arrow. Now that I'm out of prison, I've been gone away a long time, and I miss my cousins, I miss my grandfather, I miss everybody. And so I walk to Broken Arrow, but you're not supposed to walk. But eventually somebody gave me a ride. And I got me a ride, and then the people I was with, there's two people, there's driving, and they want to stop by the apartment before they go to Broken Arrow. It's on the way. And so I did, and I agreed, and they were smoking some weed with me. It was laced with something. And whatever it was over 26 something years ago. Today, I have to decide on, was my experience fake or was my experience real? While I was high on that, whatever the weed, whatever it was, I got paranoid, and I thought, man, and I was kind of scared too. Because the first thing is I was looking at the TV, and I seen a meteorologist on TV, had a stick, pointing, talking about there's a storm in the north coming down, and to the east and to the west. But in the spirit was telling me, some spirit was telling me, a thought of my own or outside of me, I wasn't sure. Now, I smoked weed, since I was a child. I mean, all my life, I'm like 27 years old, I guess, so from the time 15, I knew that here's what happened is, the story was that whatever was talking to me, or whatever I was perceiving, was telling me that all the nations of the world is surrounding Israel. And I had no knowledge of these Bible prophecies. There might be some cryptomnesia, which is a memory that's implanted there by things around me, a hidden memory that I can't recall, but I don't recall hearing any prophecies about Israel being surrounded, especially that I had a short time as a child in church, but most of my life, my teens, it was seeking the path of the ascended masters of Zen Buddhism, Eastern mysticism, and arts and sciences in Buddhism. So the meteorologist was saying the storms, from the north is coming down to the east, and my perception was they're surrounding Israel. The second, is a vision on the TV. The second one was that all the earth was covered by UFOs, like in the TV show called V. And I believe that I'd seen that. Of course, I'd seen that as a child, V, but that was the image I've seen on TV. At the time, I was not thinking about the TV show called V. I was just seeing the TV. And I seen the vision, and it was a UFOs covering the earth, the control of the earth. And I seen inside the spacecraft was a man dressed in a military uniform, and it was on his arm, he had a red patch. So the color red was connected to this creature. It was a reptilian face with a military uniform. And so I seen that. Today, my perception is it's Babylon covering the earth. That's what that interpretation was. And so I told the guys to we need to go, I need to go. In my mind, I accepted Jesus Christ. I was scared of that visions, what I seen, because it had a reference to Israel, a prophecy of the future. And I called out to Jesus, and I thought, I need to repent, or in my mind, I was scared of this. And at that same time, immediately after I seen these things on TV, there was a light, a bright light above my head. And I was very terrified that it was going to crush me. It was heavy, like a foot was going to come down and just destroy me. And remember, I'm a Tibetan Buddhist at the time. I did not believe in no power, no resource outside of me at all. If I want to change, it comes from within. There is no God, there is no creator, there's no power outside. It's all from within. But at that time, I perceived there was a great power outside of me that was greater than me. And I didn't know what to expect or what to think. It was just a bright light, and I was too terrified to look up. But I knew that bright light was there, and I knew that it was going to destroy me. So I called out to Jesus for help. And I asked him to save me. That's because that's what I knew as a child. So that's a moment of my repentance right there at that moment. Because I was a Tibetan Buddhist all my life. I did wrong as a child, doing burglaries and things. And now I'm seeing this vision. This light is above me. And I told the guys to take me home, or we need to leave. Because in my mind, I perceived that I was being warned that they were going to kill me. And so, later I come back home. I go to Broken Arrow first and look around and meet. I prayed with my sister Tammy, it's her name. She went to Rhema. And so she laid hands and prayed. But she gets no credit. Nobody gets any credit except for our Maker. But I'm glad that there was a person of faith in the family, and I remembered that. So I told her what happened, that I received Jesus, and I came back home, and I'm talking to a sibling about the weed I was smoking, and I was reminded that can make paranoia, whatever it was. To this day, I have testimonies I'm excited to tell, at a different time, the details that I know. I've been challenged all my life. Did that really happen or not? Or was it just a drug experience or not? But Yahweh gave me the words last year, about 2 years ago. He says, I override all communications. Don't matter if you're smoking, drugs, drinking, does not matter what it is. Doesn't matter if you're watching a movie and the movie's lying to you, or if you read something in your book is lying to you, or if you read in your Bible and they say Jesus is God right there, they're lying to you. I override all communications. Yahweh will reach you and give to you and speak to you what He wills you to know and to understand. So here I am. And the reason why I said about Jesus is God and the Trinity, these things, this is the main war right now. There's 7 and the number 8. And the Trinity is attached to the number 8. A match to the spider that bit me. And that's what this ministry is about. Yahweh's very great and mighty. So here I am. I come back home. and I still had this crack habit. And so I'm sitting at the, I just got saved is what I believed, and I'm challenging all day long in my mind. Did it really happen? Did it really happen? Is it true? Is it true? What happened? You know, oh my God, what's going on? So I'm being challenged about repentance and about my belief. What am I going to believe? So just 2 weeks later, I got married, and then 2 weeks later, I had this experience, this epiphany of this light with our Creator in receiving Jesus that I knew. Now I get arrested by assault on a police officer. I'm out there in my in the apartment complex, and I'm going to the coke machine, and a cop is doing a routine check, and he comes up to me and asks me questions, and he perceives I was a threat. Because I was in a sense I was arguing with him. I said I can't go back to prison, and I think that's what did it. You know, he felt that was a threat. So I didn't have a weapon, but he charged me with a weapon. I said I'm just getting a coke right here. I live right there. I asked him to go back to the apartment. I'm right there, about 10 feet away. And so what he did was he sprayed me with pepper gas, handcuffed me first, took me in, beat me up, about 15 of his buddies, broke my ribs. And so that's what happened 2 weeks later after I got saved. But Yahweh catapulted me ahead at an early time because he needed me to speak for him. And so I have his job. So I'm in jail. And I meet a guy named Ralph Payne Jr. His father is a preacher, and we're in jail. What a miracle. And my wife is sneaking my Bible up through a rope in the Oklahoma City jail downtown. And at that time I was smoking. She'd give me some cigarettes, and on a rope. And I'm pulling up my Bible. And now we're having Bible study in the jail cell with Ralph Payne Jr. and his father. He's a minister who does recovery, like drug recovery. Well, that's why I'm having these problems, and here we are having this little powwow, and I'm strengthened as a new believer. You see, I override all communications, even though I thought that maybe the drugs is not real or it didn't happen. I'm in prison or I'm in jail, and Yahweh found a way to give me the Bible and to have somebody minister to me about this problem. Yahweh's very great. And he's in Oklahoma City. He still has, I think, Serenity Outreach, I believe is the name. But I pray Yahweh bless his soul and his family, because it was an honor and a pleasure to have that experience. So now I'm out of jail because the cops arrested me. I have assault on police officer charge. There's a whole bunch of charges: threatening a witness, carrying a handgun, all these type of charges. And so now I have this hanging over me. And so I'm in the crack house smoking, and they're passing the stuff around, and I'm kind of scared. I was like, I'm praying, oh Father, I don't want to do this no more. I don't want to do this no more. And they hand it to me, and I smoke it, and I did not get high. When I was 15, I wasted it. But I'm a grown man now. And I've smoked it before, several times before that, trust me. But I prayed for help, and I smoked it, and I did it the right way, and it did not affect me, not at all. But what happened is I got a phone call, and the phone was ringing, and Ralph Payne Jr. called me and asked me, how am I doing? Because Yahweh loves me, and he loves you. He will fight for us. He will fight for you. So now, Yahweh deliver me from that problem. I go back to my parole officer. They call me in. Because see, the police, didn't show up for court. They could have dropped all those charges, but they did drop. I mean, they kept one charge: assault on police officer, and I paid $500, which a man who was my partner at the Messiah's Ballroom and Dancing. I was a ballroom dancer for a short time. He was from Michoacan, the same state that in Mexico, you know, where I was going to. Or my ex-wife is, you know, she's from that area, Michoacan. But he gave me $500 to get me out of jail. He was a true friend. He helped me. He had the money to help me. And so I got bailed out. But the cop did not show up for court. They could have dropped everything. The lawyer that was paid, they could have dropped it because he didn't show up for court. But Yahweh, he was sovereign. So I go to my parole officer, and I'm walking down the hallway, and I'm looking to the right. There's a man standing in the hallway looking conspicuous, you know. He's got his hand up against the doorway, looking very suspicious. And I walk a little bit more, and there's another man on the hallway. On the left side, he's standing in the hallway too. And in my mind, I'm having fears like, oh no, this is a setup. It's a setup. I know. I've watched a lot of movies. I've been around a lot of criminals. I've done a lot of time. I know the mind of the criminal mind. They're up to something. So I sit down at the desk of my parole officer, and she's sitting there looking at me, and two men come behind me, and they put their hands on my shoulder. And they says, Mr. Paul, we are here to come and get you. Do not resist. Don't move. Whatever. And so I'm sitting there for 4 hours. And it's the most powerful experience, and one of the great things that our Maker has done to demonstrate his love and power over them. They put the handcuffs on me, and they says that we're waiting for the fax machine to give us confirmation for Texas to come and take you back. They left Texas to Oklahoma to come pick me up and take me back. They have 15 minutes. If they don't do that in 15 minutes, they will lose their license to do interstate compact to pick people up in different cities. And in my mind, I prayed to my Maker, and I said, oh, Father, please mess up their words in that fax machine. Please scribble it up, you know. But I want to tell you now, there's a fine line between aspirational prayers and visualizing and seeing things happen, between praying visually, because there's a fine line. You have to be careful with that. But this is my request, and in my request, I was seeing the fax machine and the scribble the words up. I asked him to confuse their words, just mess up their communications, is what I was asking. And then here it is, an hour later, 2 hours later, and at the beginning of this, I pulled out my rosary beads that I picked up from the Roman Catholic Church. It was called the Little Flower. I thought, well, I'm leaving Tibetan Buddhism, and who knows more about God than the Roman Catholic Church? Aren't they the experts? I remember that the Pope was shaking hands with the Dalai Lama, and as a matter of fact, I read some of the Dalai Lama's books, and I read the Pope's books, and I've seen the world. It's the world's. It's a. I forgot the name of the meeting, but 100 years, every 100 years, all the world leaders would come together. And I've seen they were together, but today I know they have one mind. They have the same mind. So I took my rosary beads, put them down. I had a miniature baby Bible. Don't remember where I got that from, but here I am. I got me a baby Bible, a miniature pocket one. I set that down, and I knew that I didn't need none of those things. But I knew to pray. And so for 4 hours, I'm pleading with my Maker. And they had 15 minutes to get that confirmation. And eventually, 4 hours passed. And I was asking, what's wrong, you know, during the time. She says that they're having trouble with the machine, the communication. She says it came out, the papers came out, it looks like a comic book, you know, it's all scribbles. And I praise my Maker because He did that. He did that. And so my parole officer, she called me into the next room, and she says, Mr. Paul, but I forgot to tell you, I had to back up a step. While my handcuffs are on, while I'm seeing the problem, I told her, I know what's happening. And she looked at me, we're here. I'll tell you, I know what's happening. I'll tell you when the handcuffs come off. In my heart, in my mind, in my conviction, according to my faith, I prophesied and I told her the future, and I didn't know that until 20-something years later. Because I've done that again before. And she called me into the room. And I told her, she says, I got to let you go, but do not run. I have to let you go. She took the keys, took the handcuffs off, and I says, now I'm going to tell you what happened. But that's my chance to witness to her. But I'm just a young believer, just got converted. But the power of Yahweh seen on me from day one when I had that experience in Broken Arrow. She says, I got to take off the handcuffs, but do not run. And I told her, I know what happened, and I told her it's a miracle. That's the words I told her. That's a miracle. So they let me go. They took the handcuffs off, and as soon as I got on the bus, there's a man and a woman arguing. And don't tell me, you can't tell me what happened. I can't say what happened. But I was on that bus, and the peace and the joy that was on me, I had to share the good news. And the husband and the wife were arguing like they were going to kill each other. And for some reason, by me being there, the Spirit of Yahweh was with me. And I was sharing my testimonies, and there's power in his testimonies. And those two had peace. They stopped arguing. And I knew there's something different about me because of my attitude and my experience of the joy of wanting to tell other people about our Savior. But I want to tell you right now, they will give you drugs, they will give you drinking, they will give you women, they will give you movies, they'll give you food and pleasantries to keep you from speaking about your Maker and the deliverance of our Messiah. Don't let that happen to you. To shut you up is the main goal of our enemy, is to make you quiet. The love and power of our Maker needs to be known because the hope is in us. I fled to Mexico as a fugitive. My wife, coincidentally, she was from Mexico. And she went first, so that way we won't get in trouble. And then I paid $300 to somebody at one store, and I got as a white van. We went across. They gave me a piece of paper. Things are harder now, but I went across the border 2 weeks later with zero Spanish. But what's interesting is I had 4 dreams about Mexico before I left, and here they are. I arrived there day 1. I don't speak no Spanish. It was my brother-in-law and my sister-in-law, whom I miss and love, and I miss everybody very much. But they took me in and took care of me and helped me with my provisions until my wife arrived. So I'm driving around with my brother-in-law, as a different brother-in-law. He's a school teacher, and we're passing by a place called Inglés Individual. My 3rd day there, I'm teaching English. This is before my wife got there. My 3rd day, I'm dressed up in nice clothes. I'm inside there teaching English. And then they send me to Morelia. I was in Urampan, and Urampan is the capital of avocados. Urampan is a sister city of Santa Fe, New Mexico. They have the square because it's designed after that. And so I seen the sign. Well, I'm teaching English now, and I don't know anything about teaching no English. I know English because I'm American. So I go to Morelia, and they pay for my hotel, they pay for my food, my trip, everything. And I'm there for them to train me and for me to train them. We learn this. We learn the material. We have with teachers, and I was there for about a week or so, and then they made me coordinator. They made me coordinator. They made me coordinator of teaching English for a short time, and then the story just continues of the things that happened. So the first dream that came true was I'm looking. I'm with my brother-in-law who teaches not English. He teaches computer software, but he's in school teaching. In the classroom is what I seen in the dream. The classroom desk, and there's a dictionary, and the dictionary was opened up to the page that has a pronunciation guide. It's a little square box. It has a pronunciation guide, and that's exactly what I seen in the dream before I came to Mexico, and that dream came true. The chairs around me, my environment, the desk, and the exact same page. The next dream is I'm shaking hands, but this is with John Paul, a friend, and John Paul. So I'm shaking hands, and right on my left side is a brown fence, a brown wooden fence, and then I'm shaking hands right there next to that, and I see this picture in my dream, and that's exactly what I seen in Mexico after I got there. The other dream was that there's a white truck on an edge of a cliff, and on that white truck there was Catholic symbols like the diadem, the sepulchre, and the purple cloth. These are all Catholic symbols, and so the truck didn't fall over, but it was in the process of falling. And so it was, to me, it was showing me that the Catholic Church was falling. And at that time, I found out years later, this is the time that they were having trouble in the Catholic Church with pedophilia. And so the third dream was I was running from a monster, and I tried to find safety in this big Catholic church. And I ran into the church down the middle aisle, and there's a priest. A priest was right there in front of me. And I know because he had a collar, a black shirt and a white collar. He turns around, and he's got a face of a demon. So I was running from the monsters, and I ran into the church, and there is the monster there. And so that was the 4 dreams that my Father gave to me before I left Mexico. That way I know that He had sent me to Mexico, and it was not because I had to be a fugitive. It was not because my wife is from New Mexico. It's because Yahweh had sent me. And I want to come back to Oklahoma. When I got saved, I was looking for a church, and that's the part I left off. I was fixing to go to my catechism. I had my rosary beads. I went to the Little Flower, that's the name of it. I was excited because I was like, well, this is kind of like Buddhism, you know, this kind of organized religion type thing. Yahweh's very great. And so I was not sure where to go. And I worked at a call-in center, and everybody at the call-in center were all Christian people. I looked to my left, to my right, they're openly professing their faith. With Christianity, they're just, sharing their faith openly. It's not hidden, because they're co-workers, you know. And then I seen a magazine. This magazine was laying down at the workplace, and it was a Christian magazine called Prophecy in the News, and with J.R. Church. And this was a TV program I was watching in Oklahoma City after I got saved. And I was like, prophecy in the church. Okay, I remember prophecy because of Tibetan Buddhism. There was a prophecy of the Karmapa that he had a letter on him, and the letter was a prediction letter that explained where to look for in his next life. And so when he passed away, they were looking for the 17th Karmapa. And all the signs were miraculous signs came true. And so my trust and faith in Buddhism did not waver. Not until I met my Maker. That's when I changed my mind. And so I had this connection with prophecy, but Yahweh showed to me to trust in Him. And so I bought me a John Hagee prophecy study Bible, and that magazine had a invitation to go to a Bible prophecy conference. The first one and the first and only one I've been to, and the author had a book, and he was claiming that all the nations were going to surround Israel. That was his main prophecy. Exactly as I've seen on TV. I was looking at TV at my deliverance. All the nations are surrounding Israel on the TV. Even though it was a weatherman talking about the bad weather coming from the north and bad weather from the east, I had no knowledge of that Bible prophecy at all. But Yahweh gave it to me through that TV. Even though I was smoking drugs, it does not matter, because He says I override all communications. And so now, after I got delivered, I'm back home in Oklahoma City at work. It's amazing what He's done. And from that magazine, I go to that conference, and he's talking about Israel being surrounded by many nations. It's the Spirit of Yahweh is what I trust. I don't care what Bible version you have, how big the letters are, because Yahweh's Spirit, and those letters in that Bible is flesh. And our trust is in the Spirit, and His Spirit better agree with what you read, or you'll be misled. It's hard, and we are at His mercy with everything we believe and understand. But simplicity, I know, is best. I don't know what more to say right now, because I'm in Mexico now, a fugitive. Those cops worked me over really good. But now that I'm in Mexico, Yahweh has shown to me about prophecy and prophets. There was, and I had a business later, a cyber cafe. And now I'm sitting down at a table with about 20 of the pioneers of the city. These are kings of the city. I am the least. I'm the stranger. I'm the white guy, a stranger sitting there at the table with all these prestigious people. These were all businessmen. It's called Wembley's of Rompan is one of them, and Amigos de Rompan is the second one. There's two of these meetings. I went to both of them. On Wednesday was one, and Saturday the other one. I will not forget that. And it's a big old table, long table. And we're drinking vinos and wine and good food, and afterward we're changing business cards, except that I'm the new guy. I don't have no business card yet. But if you need anything, here you go. They give you business cards. That's the way it is there. The way America used to be. Love and respect of each other. When I was in Mexico, I had a chance to see how America was back in the 50s. The reputation they had from what I've seen in the movies and what I hear and know from my father, my families, or whatever. I know how America used to be back in the 50s and 60s. And I had a taste of it in Mexico, because and where I lived at, they call it real Mexico. It's colonial Mexico. And so it was an honor to have that experience, but I knew that Yahweh had called me to be one of His messengers because of to sit down with the kings like that 2 times. Yes, I knew right then that Yahweh made me a messenger. For who and for what purpose, I don't know, but I was learning. Next thing you know, I got spiders all in my house. This is when the Spider-Man movie came out. I had a infestation of spiders. I was counting them every time. I'd turn around behind me and smash it on the wall. They was like, they were migrating. They hatched eggs or something. And so they crawled on the wall. And then I took my Bible and I smashed a scorpion underneath my desk. And my wife was good to me, you know, and she took care of the home very well. There's no problem with scorpions. Not with the. There's not a problem. Some homes, you know, they have problems. But, you know, our Creator was showing me spiritual warfare. And this is the counsel of Yahweh. He was preparing me and showing me. He called me to be a messenger. And these are the things that happened. I was having dreams. And one of my dreams, I seen a symbol. And I look at the symbol. And then I remember the symbol. And then I'm going to Harry Potter webpage. And I'm looking at the Harry Potter webpage. And there's 2 black widows on a door. Just sitting there. And I knew they were black widows. They had the marking on the back. So people would know what they were. And from that is a revelation I've already shared. Is the sign of the 2 daughters from the book of Proverbs 30:15. Some translation says vampire, or the horse leech has 2 daughters. The suckers are 2. The globalists, they do that. The 2 swords, whatever you want to call it, but there's a bad spirit in this world in that likeness. But the 2 widows together is what I've seen. There's lots of testimonies and things that are happening, but I knew Yahweh's prepared me. And I was watching videos on Nostradamus, on Gene Dixon, and all these worldly prophets, and I was questioning our Creator, because I was in prophecy with Tibetan Buddhism, with the 17th Karmapa. That's the prophecy I knew. And then I knew about some of the worldly prophets too. And Yahweh's preparing me and showing me things. And he was using the spider. There was something about the spider he was showing to me. And so as I'm watching a TV show with Graham Hancock, it's called The Mirror, Heaven's Mirror. And in Heaven's Mirror, it shows the pyramids of Egypt were lining up to the constellation of Orion, and then also the spider lines in Nazca, Peru. There's a big spider, and that spider, according to their take on it, it lines up to Orion as well. And as I was seeing that, I was remembering the spiders in my house. There's an infestation of them. I counted them. I killed 8 of them, and I know that. And then I had dreams. One dream was there's a spider appears in the corner of the house, in the top of the ceiling. That was a dream. It's just a spider in the corner of the house. The very next day, I'm coming home, and me and my wife are going forward. We're walking to the house, and there's a gate there. And right there on the gate is a black widow. And I told my wife, hold on, wait, I need to kill a spider first before we go in. And I'm going to tell you the truth, the days before that, I was playing a video game by Microsoft. And I'm trying to remember the name, Dungeon Siege. I'm playing Dungeon Siege, and I'm trying to get past this boss. And the boss is a giant black widow. I've already shared that before, and I hope to put things in order to see. But I've got a sword, and now I'm trying to fight this giant black widow, and I can't pass because the spider is blocking the door. And so days later, not weeks, I know it's days later, within that week, I'm going home, and there's a spider right there on the door of my house. Yahweh's speaking to me. And I know he was, and it has something to do with the spiders. And then Spider-Man movie came out in 2002. And then Nick Berg got his head decapitated by ISIS. And that was on May 5th, 2004. And I looked up in Google, well, not Google, but there was no Google. Somehow, I don't know, Yahweh gave it to me. He showed me the same date. The NASA picture of the day was May 5th, 2004. And I looked at the NASA picture of the day, and it was a bug nebula. The bug nebula has the appearance of an hourglass. And I knew Yahweh was speaking to me about this, because that's the spirit that was behind ISIS, about Nick Berg getting his head cut off. May Yahweh bless his soul, and I pray for his vengeance upon those who did harm even then and now. Godless people who have no interest in our Creator, they're not turning back. You better run from Yahweh, because He is coming for you. It's tragic what they have done. He was broadcast on TV, Nick Berg. He was a journalist, and I believe worked on a radio tower in Iraq. But Yahweh showed me that spirit in the world that was doing this was in the likeness of the female black widow spider. And this is the punchline. This is the important part that I want you to hear and see. I was struggling with our Maker. He showed me the Mirror of Heaven by Graham Hancock, how Orion matched up to the constellation of Orion. And he showed to me that the goddess religion of the world, no matter where it is, he used my own testimony, Tibetan Buddhism, first, to have me look back and see the octograms, the number 8. The spider has 8 legs. Chinrizig is a bodhisattva of compassion, a female deity. The spider is female. Indrid is the goddess of weaving in the web, the black widow. Even later, I started learning about Lilith, who was on top of Adam. I don't care if it's a myth or not, but it still is a picture, and it still is Yahweh communicating to us things that we need to see. The dominant matrix, the black widow, is dominating. That's the power of Lucifer. Yahweh has given is to do and to behave in that way. So the behavior of the black widow, the colors and symbols and names and things, they were all matching up to the goddess religion. And this is where Yahweh had showed to me His power, and it was His calling for me to understand this spirit, which now I've revealed it all year long, various things about it. But the number one enemy of Israel and of planet Earth is in the likeness of the female black widow spider. Yahweh's done this out of His love and kindness to demonstrate His power and to give us something as a reference to see if the world, and if we match that spider, we are not part of His kingdom. And so here I am being called to be a messenger for Yahweh while I'm in Mexico as a fugitive. And then I was invited to go to DF, Mexico City. Some Americans were coming. Some Americans were coming to do a revival at the church in Coatepec, Mexico. That's a bad neighborhood. And so while I'm there, it's a church called the Valley of the Lilies was the name. And so I went to the volcano. It's very interesting, all the different adventures, but I have to boast of what our Creator had did, His kindness. I'm on top of the world's tallest pyramid in Mexico City, the Pyramid of the Sun. It got really windy and we had handrails, and I'm going to the top. My wife is waiting down there. I'm looking at the pyramid complex. I got hands on after I'm watching The Mirror of Heaven by Graham Hancock, where he's talking about the measurements of the pyramids in Mexico and Egypt, and Orion, the constellation, Quetzalcoatl, which is a reference to the planet Venus, which is a reference to Lucifer, the serpent, the feathered serpent. At the bottom of the pyramids, you can see the feathered serpent's face down there. And in the movie Predator and Aliens, this is a pyramid they were going down under, where he pulls out, the archaeologist is down digging. He pulls out a Pepsi bottle or something. But that's the area. And so it's an honor, you know, that Yahweh do that I can see and have close contact to these things. And so this is Mexico City. That was just a tour of our friends to go there before we take care of business. So I'm in the church, and they're ministering, and there's a woman there. Her name is Luce Thompson, and she read Jeremiah 1, that I called you as a prophet from your womb. I have known you from your womb. And I have to stop right there and let you know that I don't need her approval. I do not need that confirmation. That was not necessary. But according to Yahweh, it may be, because He is in control. But I'm just telling you that I was on the floor, rolling around like a little baby. Yahweh's breaking me to challenge Him between my thoughts and His thoughts about Tibetan Buddhism prophecy, Gene Dixon prophecy, Nostradamus prophecy, the Bible prophecy, who was right, who was wrong. But He showed me that spider, and He showed me that the things He made, the world is matching what He made. And He was showing to me to trust in Him. And 20-something years later, I learned that's called the counsel of Yahweh. It's in Psalms. And so He did that. And Luce Thompson, I looked her up online. She has a husband. I never contacted him. But they believe a little bit different. They believe in the Trinity, like majority of the world. And that didn't affect me. Just like when I was in Oklahoma City, after I got saved, I went to the Little Flower Church, and I went to a big mega church in Oklahoma City. I just got saved, and I wrote me a little piece of paper, pray for me, and put it in the back of the pew. I was very innocent. Not to speak of myself, but just say that you get the picture in your mind that I was a new believer, freshly converted. There's repentance, there's deliverance. I met with my Maker, and because of what I knew about Jesus, and that's what He did for me. That's where that took me. From the time my mother was pinching me to the time that I got out of prison, and I called on my Maker and called on Jesus to help me. I was very innocent and didn't know anything. But Yahweh did not waste no time. So I'm in the mega church, a new believer, and they call everybody up on top of the stage. There's about 6, 7 of them standing there. We're all standing there, and this guy comes up to everybody, puts his hand on everybody. Then they fall to the ground. Then the next man takes a red cloth and puts the red cloth over their legs, you know. He puts his hand on the next person, and they fall down. And I'm looking, I'm the last person in line. I'm kind of scared, like what, you know, I don't know I've never seen nothing like that before. Even though I was in Broken Arrow, even though I was in, Tulsa, and all the different churches in Southside Tulsa, all kinds of, all over churches. Not bragging, this is what Yahweh did to me, to let me see many churches, but I've not seen people fall down, slaying the spirit, they call it. But I looked at the preacher in his eyes, moments before he put his hand on me, and his eyes were like fire. They were red, like a person's drinking alcohol, or red eye from smoking meth or drugs, up all night. His eyes were red. He didn't have a pleasant appearance. It was a mean looking appearance. And he put his hands on people, and it came to me, and I felt the heat. But I stood there. I didn't fall down because Yahweh didn't purpose it to be that way. So I sat down with my hands on my knees, looking around, and they were all laying down. They had a red cloth on them. I know Yahweh set me apart for whoever's hearing this message. That would be you. Whoever you is, everybody's talking about you. Like you will get a lot of money. You're going to be famous, and you're going to be prosperous. Yahweh's very true in what He's given to me. And I'm not going to lead you to no idols. But this world religion is going to lead you, and they are leading everybody to the idols. So at that time, I was not slaying the spirit like everybody. I'm sitting there looking around, and He set me apart. But that was just weeks after my conversion. 8 years a fugitive in Mexico. Was a time I was after I got out of prison, I went to a halfway house, and they said that I need to clean the floors and bathroom or whatever, and it was Sabbath. This is after I believed in. This is after my fugitive experience. I came back to the United States, but I want to share this. I said, can I switch with another person? Because in prison, I was a Buddhist, and they would let me do things like the Muslims. My Muslims would have a diet, a non-pork diet. They let me do a vegetarian diet. The Muslims had a place to pray in the church. They let me pray in a certain area or meditate. So that was not a problem, and I was expecting, that they could let me switch days with somebody. But instead, they throw me back in prison over the Sabbath. Call it what you want to call it. You can think any way you want to think. But our Father was showing me that this spirit, this anti-Messiah, it hates the Torah, it hates our Father's instructions in Him. So now I'm in prison, sitting there, and the guy next to me is a Muslim, and he wanted me to pray for his wife. And that's how I know that Yahweh did that. I have a testimony of the Apostle Paul of the things he's been through. On a small scale, please note that on a small scale, because I'm not lifting myself up. But I just want to show you that this ministry is a ministry of the prophets. And Yahweh's very great. And I will have my reasons to tell those why I believe Yahweh has sent me here. But that was my testimony, my deliverance. And now I know they have no power unless it's given to them. This is only my second testimony. And as I learn to put things together, I'll get better at it. But in Tibetan Buddhism, they have a weapon. It's called a vajra. And you hold it in your hand. It's a symbol of the indestructible mind. It's a symbol of a weapon. But as a believer in Messiah Yahshua, I know that's a weapon that's formed against the people in the world. But that weapon did not destroy me. It was the blood of the Lamb that destroyed that weapon. That weapon was picked up from martial arts, from Tibetan, from Bujinkan, the ninja art, Bujinkan, then Tibetan Buddhism. Because Lucifer is very seductive. There's many things that seduce you. Sounds like Hillsong. The idol I've seen is in Hillsong. It's in the churches. And by Yahweh's mercy, we'll get to that point. I'm grateful that you're taking attention and time to hear the testimonies with patience. So where I left off at, I'm in Mexico as a fugitive. And I think I'll stop right there. Because there's so much to write about. But I want to let you know I read Psalms 27:6 that I may, it says Psalms 27:6 that I may tell of his wondrous works. When I read that, I was excited. I was like, that's what I like to do. Matter of fact, I had plans to share what Yahweh already revealed to me about the spider things. I was ready to write a book. Matter of fact, I had a chance to make a directory in my business, a website directory, so that if people pay $100, each person, I already did the math, I'd get like $100,000, $200,000 a year and have a directory for all the businesses, local businesses. This is in 2002 something. I was way ahead of many people, not to boast, but that was what Yahweh gave to me, is to put me ahead. And so I was excited that I was going to make a bunch of money. I had a way to make money, and then use that to publish a book. But now he's letting me publish 26 years later, that I may publish, 27:6, Psalms 27:6, that I may publish his wondrous works. And then the most important part I almost forgot before I close this testimony. There's so many great things our Maker does and to tell. So I had these problems with spiders, and eventually one of them got me. And I was comatose. And I want to be clear on this part, there's so much to tell. A witch put a spell on me. Where I lived at in Reborn, there's a witch's market. And there's a minister who's been there for 20 years named Jimmy Percival. And Jimmy Percival is the only American I knew in that city that he was a minister preaching to people. He'd sit down on the park bench, and talk to people one-on-one. And his wife, they put a curse on his wife. But she lived. They almost got her. I'm not used to talking like this. Forgive me. So Jimmy Percival, his wife, they put a curse on her. She lived. But what he told me was he believed that the power of Satan will come on people. That's the way he explained it, like his wife. And then when it's removed, they claim that's a miracle. That's what he believed. So the way it worked for me is this witch, she's a preparest witch, and she had these rolls of toilet paper, and with black Sharpie marker had wrote stuff on there, and then put it on the wall, all on the wall around me. I seen it was spells, and I was kind of scared of that. It was creepy looking, And next thing I know, I'm in a coma, hospital. Well, I came back. When I came back, I was in hospital for over a month. And when I came back to my apartment, I seen a piece of paper, and it had a picture of somebody that looked like Bart Simpson with big eyes, but the tongue was sticking out like wavy. And it had the words, "Help me, help me." And that's the piece of paper I was showing to my wife before I was flopping around, kicking around, flying on the floor, flopping around, having a seizure with the tongue. The tongue was having problems. That's why I wrote that down and drew that. I don't remember the details, but when I came back, I found a piece of paper. But Yahweh let me live. And he woke me up, and I had 20 dreams while I'm in a coma. And I remember the dreams very clearly. Many of them came true. And I woke up on Valentine's Day. There were mariachis dancing in the hallway because Yahweh wanted to show his love to me, but not just his love, but power. Because I knew that Valentine's Day is a pagan holiday. I knew that. But yet he used that to communicate to me that he loves me. I woke up on Valentine's Day, a pagan holiday, because now I have the words he gave to me. I override all communications. See, our Creator has spoke to me using something in our world, in my culture, my world, that I identified as with love. Valentine's is connected to love. There's no coincidence there. But I'm balancing things out that I see correctly by his grace. So he woke me up on Valentine's Day. And he let me live. I'll give you one of my dreams. In the coma is a procession of dreams. It was the coder that started all the trouble in the world. The whole world was crashing and going down because of the coder. And the coder I seen was video editing. A stream in front of me is video editing. Pictures, picture films, and whatever it was, it came from under the ground. It came out like down in the toilet. It was like hell or something dark rising up. So the dream kept leading on with other themes. And so I'm out in the desert, and I'm walking to the desert, and there's a red box machine, and I take a video cassette and put the video cassette in the red box, and there was no red box in the world like you see at Walmart. Like here in America, we have the red box. It's in front of like a Walgreens or different stores where you put money in and you pull out a movie. I did that in 2004 in that dream. And after the dream, there was a red box. And so I knew that Yahweh had done that. I mentioned before this in one testimony, the security bubbles I seen in the dream, and there are 3 people standing inside that red bubble, or the black bubble. There was no black security bubbles, but after I woke up from the coma, I'm in Walmart. In Mexico, they call it bodega. And I'm looking up in the sky, and or inside the building's a security bubble. He always showing me the future to show unto me that we can trust him, that he is sovereign. He was showing to me, I don't want to talk about the details now. I don't know how to, but I have a connection with films. And that was part of it. When the dream started, I had given a chance to go into the movie. And later I see in Ezekiel 8, chapter 8, that he told him to go into the hole in the wall and to look at the abominations. And that's a spirit that Yahweh's put in me to go in and to see. And the work that I'm doing is not my own, but our Maker has been kind to share with me his secrets and his kindness and his powers that I can share with others, especially the church, particularly the church and the leaders, what I see. And the Olympics just passed recently. And if you look at the table, is the Last Supper. But there's something missing that's not been told. There were Roman columns in that picture. And my next video, if you're always willing, I'll continue showing the idol of Baal, because that's where this spider, don't have my spider with me, but this spider that Yahweh has made is a match to the idol of Baal. He showed to me in the past Baal and Asherah, the sun and the moon. In the world, that's what they're after, is union of the sun and the moon. The male and female, the counterparts, that's a union. He used Tibetan Buddhism to show it to me, and he put me through this to better equip me to see for the service of those who need to hear his words. So I left Mexico in 2004, I guess. And then as soon as I came back, I was in a wheelchair, barely walking, and they gave me crack again. My choice, but Yahweh's in control. So now I'm going to go get some crack with somebody, and the cops pull us over, and they found out I'm a fugitive. So now I go back to prison for being a fugitive for 8 years, because I fled justice. If I stayed in Oklahoma, I would not have had that trouble. But I fled justice. And I did about 3 years, and that's the best 3 years of my entire life. I memorized about 100 scriptures. I don't have them all memorized now, but because I practiced them. Now it's time to use what Yahweh's given to me. I'm so grateful that He's taught me and prepared me all these years. It's not time to do a bunch of studying and learning. We need to learn, because I quote that if you're not learning, you're not living. To live is to learn. But right now, whatever we know, we need to start sharing what we know, because people need answers, and the body of Messiah has the answers. The world doesn't have the answers. So now I'm in prison. I'm memorizing scriptures. Yahweh continues to show to me about Orion. He's educating me. One guy gave me a book with the stars and constellations, and I'm learning about Orion. And then it's just awesome the things our Creator does. I got a flashlight. I'm looking at the spider webs and learning about these things He's given to me and showing me and leading me. There's a soldier. He's a security guard. He came from Iraq, and he's out there on the sidewalk or cement, and on the cement he steps on a spider, and hundreds of them scatter. And he's telling me about the camelback spiders in Iraq, his stories, his experience, and I'm honored and appreciating what our Creator is doing. That I'm having fellowship and learning, and our Creator is sharing to me more and more about the spider. Then He takes me to the books. He takes me to the Hebrew letters and the Hebrew scriptures in the Strong's Concordance, and He shows me a match to the spider. The spider matches the number 8. He showed to me, and the spider is a match to the word fat. Fat. The fat is what's going to burn. It's the fatness that creates judgment, that causes judgment. I've seen it in scriptures. I've seen it. Excessiveness, lawlessness, crossing boundaries, These are signs of being fat. But I don't want to try to preach to you and to share too much, on scriptures. I want to share with you that I had a difficult past in my life. For the sake of those who hear, because people have expectations, and their expectations are not what they're going to see from me. Here's my zeet seats. Maybe you expect the messenger to have beautiful zeet seats. They're all shiny and looking nice, but no. Yahweh is very great, and He is trusted. While I was in prison, that's 3 years after I came back from Mexico as a fugitive, I wanted to get baptized. So I'm making progress, I had scriptures memorized. I had Psalms 91 memorized after I'm reading every day over and over and over. Eventually I memorized it, and it's such a joy to experience that, And so now I wanted to get baptized, but I want to get baptized in the name of Yahshua. I had read a lot of material on the Sacred Name movement, Hebrew Roots movement. I was getting educated. For 3 years I was learning and consuming, because I already learned in Mexico for 8 years. But when I came back, I hit that crack pipe again, drugs. Well, that shows you that I was not ready. Much to learn, and so I told him I'm in prison. I said, put on the certificate the name Yahshua. And here's what happened. I was baptized in the name of Yahshua, but on the certificate they got it wrong 2 times. They got the name wrong, and it's just amazing, because there's a spirit that's against that. It's not just a common mistake. I don't believe that. Because at the same place, we're at a Bible study, and this preacher comes from a mega church, a big church. And we're talking about the Bible, and I say the word Torah. And it's like, what is Torah? The Torah. And there's 2 people in that group there. One I'm actually seeing in Oklahoma City after the fact. I get out. I actually had a chance to meet up with him later. He's a Hebrew Roots movement guy. He loves our Maker, and he's a servant. But he was there with me, and the preacher got angry. I said the word Torah, and that's the law. We're talking about the law. And he says, I used to be a DOC officer. I can handcuff you right now and arrest you. That's what he told me. He wanted to fight with me and get violent with me because I was not agreeing with him on the word Torah and keeping Torah. Everybody has their own interpretations. But I know that it's not an evil thing to keep the instructions of our Maker, even though some think it is. So those are 3 years. And when I get out, many things happened in between. But I know that our Father, the Creator, has sent me here to this city. After I gave away Bujinkan, the arts of ninja, the Buddhism, all that stuff, as many years passed, I didn't care nothing about swords and ninja things and none of these things at all. But I was on the phone with a guy named Chris. I'm here in Albuquerque, and he's in Rio Rancho. He's a teacher at Bujinkan. That's right. Somebody here I met with teaches Bujinkan. So we meet up at the Tally Market. I'm sitting down talking to him at the Tally Market. He says he's a Christian and he teaches Bujinkan, but he's seen the spiritual deceptions in Bujinkan, and he left that part out, but he still teaches Bujinkan. That's how I know that Yahweh sent me here. That's one sign of many signs. I want to make the list of all these great things that I know that he has sent me here. And my question is, why? Why did he send me to this city? What does he want with you? That's my concern. But when I got here, I seen the colors of the female black widow spider. The Albuquerque library card is the colors of the black widow spider. The UNM Mexico football team is black and red football colors. I mean the black widow colors. I think my last video, the third video after this, will be more helpful to be specific about Albuquerque. Because there's only one person here that I met so far who believes in the name of Yahshua, who believes to guard the seventh day, who doesn't lead you to the Trinity, but has the simplicity of the faith. It was once delivered to us. There's one person I met here, and I've identified myself as Netzarim, and he as well. But titles are not important, because I'm not practicing as I was as a Buddhist. To learn all the Torah, to wear tzitzits and kippahs, to keep Shabbat a certain way, a certain lifestyle. It's not a Jewish lifestyle that I'm after. But it's a good thing if a person chooses that. There's nothing evil or nothing bad about that at all. So I will lead anybody who's interested to know about the instructions of our Maker and to stay away from idols. And while I was in prison, Yahweh told me, he showed to me that he wants me to be an iconoclast. I read an article by First Fruits of Zion on the replacement theology, and then I read an article on iconoclasm. They call it cow tipping. You know, urban legend. The cow is sleeping in the fields, and you can touch it, and it fall over. They was using that to show and illustrate the concept of iconoclast is to knock over the sacred cows. In the past year, I've shown the idol, and I got in a hurry because I just got off the streets 3 years ago, and I got in a hurry to show the idol. But I want to tell you that the best way to knock over somebody's idols is with love. There's only one way to cow tip. It's with love. And I cannot show that if I'm getting in a hurry and angry at the enemy. And I pray that some will be saved. Because this idol I've talked about is imposed on all of our leaders. So what more needs to be said on testimony? I do not know, but I have the website where I can, the goal is to have a PDF where it can be shared. But most importantly is those who I meet one-on-one. We have coffee, we talk, I can open up the books, we can share things, work things out. Because in this city, I've seen two churches that has the idol of Baal on it, and they both believe in the Trinity. One is evangelical and one is a Roman Catholic. And Yahweh sent me here without questions, without doubt. The work is to help protect the flock of Jesus, of Yahshua, our Messiah. He's very great and very awesome are his works. He's delivered me and my brothers and sisters many times. Our testimonies are true. I've not smoked cigarettes in over 2 years, or drugs as well, or drank alcohol, or had the desire to do wickedness, because I trusted in the power of our Maker. He came to me while I was here in this apartment 3 years ago, or no, it's like 2 years ago. And that was, I'll save it for another time. But they tried to drug me up again. I survived the Breaking Bad tour. The Breaking Bad tour is a reference to methamphetamines. And methamphetamines is a match to the female black widow spider. As is this city. As is the world. As is its goddess, Inanna, who the kings of the earth lay with. Revelation 17, 1 and 2 speaks of that. They have one mind. It's very upsetting that the things that leaders know. You always call me to be a leader. I'm just a child in the faith, and it seems, with little experience on leading or anything like that. But I know what I see. And my objective is to share with the leaders the things I see, that the flock will come out of the Trinity and her number 8, a perfect match to the female black widow spider. Many people deny his power, but the answers are in his sovereignty. My thumbs are smashed. When I was in prison, the crash gate smashed my thumbs. But when the Batman movie came out a couple years ago, I seen a thumb. When the movie for there's another movie with a thumb. I can't remember the name right offhand. I wasn't planning on adding that or sharing that, but he always showed me this during the Batman film and another film. There's 2 films. He was showing me the thumb being cut off, and he took me to the Torah, showing me the Torah about the thumbs being cut off, and I knew that Yahweh is the one who smashed my thumbs. That I would see His glory 26 years later, that I could reflect on the 2 thumbs. Right now, what's popular is they're talking about Donald Trump is the bullet hit Donald Trump in the ear, and he's anointed in the ear and on the thumb. The thumb is a symbol of authority. In the Torah, it shows that the kings, 70 kings, they got their thumbs and toes cut off. Let me show you what happens when you get your thumbs cut off and you lose your authority. There it is right there. There are 2 Roman columns. This showed up with Donald Trump at the NGC, NC, I forgot the name of the conference. This is in the White House. This is in all the world. This is in China. This is in all the entire world. These Roman columns. That's 2, 4, 6, 8, and 3 right there. It's on both of your hands. So you don't want to lose your thumb. And the Roman columns I showed is, in my next video, I'll try to illustrate it. It's in the Olympics, the Paris Olympics. They put it right there, the Roman columns behind the Lord's Supper, so that I know that's the same spirit that's boasting. It's amazing to see that Yahweh has let me perceive and to see this threat, this spirit in the world. The Roman Catholics have no hope. The spirit, I don't care if you say the Roman Catholic is the Antichrist. Well, the Antichrist has no chance at all to survive the real Antichrist that I see, because Yahweh is powerful. He sent it. I thought that the Anti-Messiah was going to rule through Roman Catholic Church, but only Yahweh knows. But this spirit is much more than what we thought. People have all kinds of ideals. It's in all the religions. So you can't say and point the finger at the Jesuits or the Roman Catholics or whatever. I know how it operates because Yahweh's shown to me. He's very great, and I pray that you would guard the number 7, the 7th day. To come out of the Trinity, as the objective is to have reasons to believe why you don't need a Trinity. Because Yahweh's 1 and not 3. This is my testimonies, the things He's done for me and delivered me, that I would trust in Him. In Tibetan Buddhism, we have the Trikaya, 3 Buddha bodies. And we also had the Triratna, which is the 3 jewels. We put our hands like this on our forehead here and on the, like this. You take refuge in Trikaya, in the Bodha, the Dharma, the Sangha, the spiritual community, in the Buddha. But all the world has a Trinity. I discovered recently, even Islam has the 3 daughters of Muhammad is the 3 goddesses. And they had a problem in the ancient times. And I've seen the idol of Baal with the Islam in the nations of Iran and Iraq and that area. It's very terrifying once you see the list of where that idol is. In all the religions and government. But I remember reading in John 19 verse 11, and I'll close off with this. They told Jesus, we have power to crucify you and to kill you. And He told them that they have no power unless it's given to them from above. You can read in Romans chapter 13 verse 1, there's only one power. If you're talking about praise Jesus, it's still Yahweh that has the one power. Jesus is a power that Yahweh has made. It's in agreement. The Son is in agreement with the Father. They are one. There's one power. Yahweh sent His Son out to do miracles. It's the same power. In 1 Kings 10:19, I use that a lot. There are 6 steps to the throne, and the king is the 7th. That's one power. The king represents Yahweh. So if you present yourself to the king of Israel, like King Solomon, he has authority of Yahweh. That's one power. Just like the dark side, you have Inanna, you have Baal, you have all these different gods, the Greek gods. That's also one power too, Lucifer. It's going to come under that darkness. So when we call upon our Maker, and we speak of His Son, it's of the same power. And these handcuffs came off every time because I trusted in the blood of the Lamb on every occasion. I mentioned about being lost in the volcano for a couple of days, no water. I was walking after I prayed, after Yahweh gave me a map, and I opened up the map and it says, "You are here." 2 days with no water. Well, my third day I was gone, but I was there for a couple of days, no water. And I prayed for help. He says, "Go over there." And I went over there and I found a map. And it says, "You are here." It says, "Regresar," where to return. And you are here. It says, "Tu eres aquí," here. And it showed me where to go. And I walked forward praying. There's a bottle of water in the middle of the road. That's the punchline, of my testimony. I forgot to mention that. I get so excited. But it's right there in the middle, standing up, half full. Well, not half, but it had water in it. But the testimony's on the Rumble about the volcano. But Yahweh's works are very great, and our trust is in Him. And I hope to share some testimonies about Albuquerque. This will be the last one because I have seen the spirit of the anti-Messiah manifest in this apartment. There's nothing wrong with the apartment. Well, there's something wrong with everything in this world. If it's in the world, there's a problem. But I'm trying to show to you that I'm not trying to condemn a person, but there's a spirit involved. That's what's important. And I'll have a way. You always bless me to give away a way to show this spirit that's manifesting. And I have probably about 4 or 5 items that I'll show how the spirit in my apartment connects with the spirit in the government in all the world. Many people are waking up to this, but the Bible says the truth. That Inanna lays with the kings of the earth. The Queen of Heaven lays with all the kings. That's in Revelation 17:18. I was tempted to mention our leaders, but our leaders are all in it. They're all in on it. Unless there's only one leader that's not in on it. That's the leader whose name is in English is Jesus Christ of Nazareth. In Hebrew is Yahshua the Messiah, who rose on the 7th day, who is exactly as the scripture says, the Son of God, of Yahweh. That's the only leader we can trust. And he is not joined to Inanna. But the kings of the earth are. That's the problem in the world today is our kings are laying with Inanna. How do I know? They have her name. From the brick of Ur, I've shown that. In the brick of Ur, is her name. This is my conviction. This is how He always led me to see that her name, the Queen of Heaven, is on the kings, on our leaders. And my trust is in the Bible by seeing that and being led by our Maker. I hope everybody's well because I've been taking some punches like anybody. The power went off downtown here. Messed up my computer, but I'm continuing to work. And He always provided a way out. He always provides a way. That's what's characteristic about our Creator, is He provides a way out. And the best way to know that, as I say, is to be still, to humble ourselves, to trust in Him, and to let Him do the work. That's how I found my way out of the volcano in Mexico. I humble myself, I relax for a minute, and just listen to Him, and to wait for His instructions. Because when you're face to face at the moment of battle, and there's a giant in front of you, your flesh is not going to do you no good. You have to lower yourself, but not to the enemy, to Yahweh, to humble yourself in His presence. Because no flesh will glory. He is the one who will be seen. His power, His might is to be seen, so that they trust and fear Him. The living one is with you and me. That's what they fear. So that's why we need to be humble, because they know what's inside of you. And we don't boast about it, because people need our care and our help. They need a way out. They need to remove the handcuffs, but they deny the power. Learn the sovereignty of Yahweh. Trust in His sovereignty. Like I did with the thumbs that got smashed. I know that He did that. He is very great and He is sovereign, and this is my testimony. The next video, I'll share more about the city that I'm in, Albuquerque. And I'll be patient, because there are answers that are needed. Because Yahweh loves this city, and it's His words that will protect it. We are either joined to Him, or we're joined to the mother of harlots. That will be Lucifer, however it's manifested. But it's over our churches. You will love Jesus. You can honor Him wherever you will. A person's faith is not being challenged. But the ideal of the globalists is that the nations are being moved through Trinity and her number 8. They believe in the Messiah, but the leaders don't care what you believe in, except for one thing, that you would agree with their Trinity and the 8th, and honoring the number 8. And by that, the world and the nations are moved forward by the Jesuits, the Roman Catholics, and the Knights Templars through Halloween, Christmas, and Easter. Those are the 3 feasts that are joined to the number 8, the wheel of the year, which is a neo-pagan feast. It's witchcraft. Witchcraft is being performed on America through Trinity, the number 8. The pastors don't see it, but when they act out in church, they start acting bad in church. They question and scratching their head, wondering what's going on. That's been sitting there for the whole time, to honor, halfway honoring Yahweh, halfway honoring Inanna. These words is for the protection and the perfection of the saints. None of us are condemned unless we walk in the flesh. In Romans 8:1. May Yahweh bless you, and keep praying for Paris, keep praying for the nations. And it's by His Spirit that we are changed. That's what I was going to show you with this here. Maybe I'll get into that in my next testimony. This next one will be the 3rd one and the final one for Albuquerque. That's good to walk in instructions. But the best thing is to walk according to His Spirit. Because His Spirit is what helps us to keep the commands. Also, the goodness of our Maker. We cannot turn away our Maker after seeing His goodness and His deliverances that sets us free. I'm glad that none of us have any power, because if Yahweh gave us power, this world will be dead. Because of all the lack of control that we have. Yahweh has mercy. When he removes the judges, judgment is imminent, will come. All those people on the internet that are warning everybody, when that stops, judgment will come. But that's not here right now. There's judgments all day long. My brothers and sisters, we correct each other, we judge each other, because that's the way of life, of living for our Maker. But right now is the time our Creator is opening our eyes to see, because He loves us greatly, to give us another chance, to give us time to repent and to see the world around us. Earth is His footstool. And that's what this here is. I want to share to you that He owns everything. The earth is His footstool. The world thinks that they made these things around us. But Yahweh, He has the earth is His footstool. He rules over everything. Even our own thoughts. I wish you all well, and I hope that this video will turn out okay. If not, I'll do it again. Care for each other when you can, and don't fear anything but Yahweh, our Creator, because He is the one who has control of everything. The more that I show to you, the stronger you will get. I'm talking about the powers of our Maker. They think that they have the power. That Blackwood I showed to you, that's my ministry. Ion 8 is the name. And Yahweh is so great and so mighty that He made the world match that spider. He made the world match the constellation of Orion. Yahweh made the constellation of Orion, but the world aligns to that like a magnet. The pagan feast, the pagan, everything pagan, and the occult and New Age, all these things of the world, their religions and their ways, all lines up to Orion. And Orion matches the black widow spider. It's very awesome to see that Yahweh's made it. He uses many similitudes. The bee, the dove, the lion, the locust. He compares man like the worm, the pride of the worm. Guard yourself for your pride of the worm. Don't lower yourself so much it becomes prideful. Oh, poor me. Yahweh's very kind and very great. And remember His goodness, because when it gets ugly and like that girl got shot, that's one thing that made all of us angry more than anything. But we can't let that stop us from praising our Maker, because the enemy wants to stop us from praising our Maker and getting our strength. Don't let him interfere with that. And keep your eyes and your mind on the goodness of our Maker. Because when you wake up in the morning and you think about His goodness, you will walk with your Maker and remember who He is and how kind He is. They can kill us all day long, but they cannot stop our Maker and His goodness and His power. He is Yahweh of armies. We should honor Him, respect Him as such, who gives us life. Shalom to you.